Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog. And after some technical issues, we finally got it all together. This is Jim Ziegler. My guest today is Linda Swindling. Linda is absolutely the guru, the expert. She is the epitome, the best in the world, maybe the best in the universe when it comes to negotiation, workplace issues, business issues. Hello, Linda.
How are you, Jim?
I'm having an incredible day once we got these technical issues out of the way.
Right. It's probably what everybody else is facing right now in whatever industry they're in, whatever they're doing today is these crazy technical things.
Oh, absolutely. Negotiation speaker, author, you've written 20 books. you know, Ask Outrageously, The Secret of Getting What You Really Want. Now, that's one that I should read.
Oh,
You
you
know,
have everything anyone could want, right? And it came with Debbie. Debbie's the first piece,
oh,
right?
my smoking hot trophy wife, we've been married 36 years.
Oh my goodness. We're following
36.
you. We're a couple years behind you. I
Oh,
once told my husband I was his trophy wife. You know what his response was?
no.
He said, "What I win, a bowling tournament?" It's not that funny, Jim. It's sad. Isn't that sad?
I tell her she's the best one so far. Yeah. Oh, golly. Here you go. Stop complainers and energy drainers. Wow.
Right.
Do we?
And that's not just at work. A lot of times it's, I've gotten emails where they said, okay, I'm about to try the people at work. I've been spending the last 6 months on my own family. Oh,
We've got so many subjects. You are an expert on all things relationship oriented. I'm talking about business oriented, workplace etiquette. I mean, you are the queen of all of this.
now the honest goodness truth is I see everything as a negotiation. So, my background, I was an employment attorney, and boy, it just killed me when people would come in and all I kept thinking was, you just don't know how to communicate. You just need to communicate. Or business owners would be, they'd been fighting for 2 or 3 years. I was a mediator too. And boy, when I got him in the room, I thought, you're saying the same thing he's saying. You just are using different words to say it. And so that's kind of always been my take, is everything is a negotiation. Stop with just looking at a sale and look at everything in your life and you'll be better off.
You negotiate with your children. You negotiate with a clerk at the grocery store. I mean, you negotiate with everybody.
Everybody. You sure
And
do. Sometimes with yourself. Think about it. Part of the time, some of the most interesting conversations that never need to be heard are the ones I'm having with myself. Should I do this? Should I not do this? What was I thinking? Oh, you should do that. And it's like, stop negotiating with yourself and either try it or decide not to.
I talk to myself continually because I need an expert opinion.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm always having these conversations with myself.
Yeah.
So you are an attorney.
Yeah, I did that for 10 years. And I did some real estate, and the real estate business I did, one of the big attorneys in DFW sold car dealerships. So I did a lot of their employment work and also helped him. And when he sold these big properties or
You worked for
acquired the big
buy
properties,
sell a buy sell attorney that basically was
he
involved in
was
buy sell of dealerships, which is a major transaction.
It is. There's a lot of moving parts. One
Mhm.
little piece changes, an easement changes, and then all the documents change, everything. And there's a lot of, inventory on hand. If you've got credit arrangements, if the dealership changes to a different line, it's really interesting. I had a hard hat, when we did
Did you?
environmental. And in Texas, we had, are you ready for this? The Lust Fund. Do you know what the Lust Fund was?
No.
Leaking Underground Storage Tank Fund.
Leaking
Underground Storage Tank Fund. So all those tanks that leak, you have to clean them up. You have the environmental piece. So yeah, it's It was interesting, the employment issues there, because you have so many different types of people, so many different, there's a lot of your dealers will say, part of it's just finding good people that stay, not just finding good people that leave, or finding, bad people, people that can't do the job that stay. And so there was a lot of employment issues there.
Incredible. I got something I bet you don't know. When I
What?
was 21 years old, I was the
Okay.
president of a union.
Oh, wow. Were you really? Which
Yeah,
union?
the National Association of Government Employees in Jacksonville, Florida.
Nice.
I was, picture this, I was in an apprentice program. This was during the Vietnam years.
Sure.
And I was in an apprentice program. I wasn't even a journeyman yet.
Right.
And we were repairing aircraft that were shot up in Vietnam for the
Sure.
Navy. I was a civil service. So since I was sort of a hippie, I had long hair and a beard, just,
Oh, that's crazy.
you just got to picture young Ziegler, 21 years old.
That's great.
And they decided that I was such a troublemaker that they would actually make me the president of the union.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were having trouble getting all their grievances. This is going to tie right into negotiation in a second. So anyway, they were having trouble getting grievances past the first and second levels of supervision, because one supervisor would hear the grievance, and then would be 3 weeks before the next supervisor heard it, and it would go right up the line. And people would generally give up, because it would take a year to get a grievance done.
Sure.
So I went into the manpower and management regulations that governed the union.
You read the rules.
And I found one rule that said that a grievance must start with the lowest level of management that is able to satisfy the conditions of the grievance.
Sure.
So I would always write into the grievance that the first level supervisor be fired. And only person could do that was the captain of the base.
Wow.
So we start at the top level on every grievance.
Wow. What a loophole that you came up with. That's amazing. At 21, you found that out.
Yeah. So Captain Hiley, the captain at the time of the base, he would always say, well, Ziegler, let's negotiate this thing. Do you really want to fire the first level supervisor? So we can give that one away. We'll pass on that one. We would laugh because he knew what I was doing.
You wanted to talk to the chief. You wanted to talk to the decision maker.
And to get through the 6 levels below them that took
Right.
all the time.
Right.
So once again, there's negotiation.
Right. You saw a way to talk to someone who could say yes or no.
Okay, now that's right out of your book.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think that's the hardest part, is to find the person that can actually say yes. And so many people have trouble determining who that is. And part of it is just practice. You need to practice all the time in stores, and you buying lawn equipment. Practice who can say yes. And sometimes it's not the highest ranking person in the store or the place. It's often just the person that has the right attitude. Yeah, I get on to people sometimes because there's a lot of information about start with no and always lowball people and everything else. And I'm like, well, if you're always saying no, you have no power.
No.
So how can you say yes?
How can you say yes? Okay, in other words, in a negotiation, I've always been taught, put something in your last offer that you can afford to give away.
Always.
Always.
Right. It's the give me. It's the somebody has to win. And sometimes people, they'll say, well, you just can't have this, or you have to take this. And you're like, okay, you win. Which
that was me and Captain Hiley.
It's a little silly thing, right?
He said, you really want to fire the first level supervisor? We stuck on that point. I said, no, we can give that one up. Because I never intended for them to fire the first level supervisor. It was just my way to get past all the intermediate levels.
Right, to get past the red tape.
Yeah.
And, you said I do a lot of books about workplace. That was something that was one of the top 3 or 4 things that people complain about, even at work. They're like, we can't get past this red tape and this bureaucracy to get things done. I think that's what's hard for a lot of us, is we just want the person that can help us get things done. Right. And so a lot of what we find is, if you start asking questions and start really paying attention, you can find the person that can say yes. And, we've all read Selling to Veto, The Very Important Top Officer. The ones that say, that are always asking questions and not getting anything done, the Seymours, all they want to do is see more. They just want to say no. They're the gatekeepers. That's not the person to speak with.
There
So
was
if
a
you can,
book, there was a song in the 1960s, and I was a DJ.
right. Oh, yeah.
There was a song called Nobody But Me.
Okay.
And matter of fact, they've used it in a commercial recently on TV. And the 3/4 of the words of that song were the word no. No,
Uh-huh.
no, 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 no. I always picture my clients saying that in their head.
Isn't that funny? And some people, they think they're doing, I guess they think they're master negotiators because they're saying no all the time. And you're like, all I'm doing is getting aggravated. You're not getting the best deal from me because you're
No.
not even having a conversation. I'm always laughing when people are like, no, I don't know. You'll have to do better than that. It's like, really? No, I don't. Or
Well,
how much
that
better?
is amazing because I'm in the automobile industry and
Yeah,
negotiation is still alive.
absolutely.
We've gone to one price in most of the dealerships today, where there's no
Sure.
haggle, one price, but still in all, people wiggle on the trade and they move the figures around a little bit, and the
Right.
consumers drive that. So, I always like to let the consumer get the no off their chest.
Sure. And if you are comfortable with people saying no to you, and I can bulletproof you on that. You want the bulletproof on how you hear
Bulletproof me.
no?
Give me a Linda Swindling.
Okay,
Give me
close
the
your
best
eyes.
one.
Close your eyes. Listen to this. Everybody listening, here we go. No, you cannot have that. Nope, that's not going to work here. No, that's not a great offer. No, no, no. Okay, open your eyes, Jim. Pat yourself on the back, so we don't pat ourselves on the back enough. Did you survive?
I'm still there.
And so the thing is, if you're not hearing no, you're not asking for enough. So you almost want to hear no. And then what's the backup question when you hear no? You ready? You say, I heard you say no. Can you tell me about that? And then you shut your mouth and let them
I
talk.
heard you say no.
Can you tell me
What
about
makes
that?
you say that? Tell me about that.
Yeah. And there's no judgment. Can you tell me about that? Because you're just saying back their words. And have you noticed, Jim, there's several different things that come after that question. One is you find out it will always be a no. Absolutely not. This is their one thing out of the 57 and a half things you can negotiate. This is their one thing. They must have a sunroof. This is their one thing. They will not take the warranty, whatever it is, right? So that's the no. Okay, got that. Often no, when people start talking, they will talk themselves into something. They'll say, well, no, I would never do that. Okay, you tell me about that. Well, yeah, no, that makes no sense. But my friend Paul or Paulette did that, and they start talking themselves into it. So that's one.
Really?
The second piece, though,
closer.
the second piece is the big one. You never get to know KNOW if you don't ask them about their NO, their no. You never get to know
why they said it. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Can you, and you're not even, what do you mean? You're not even rude. You're just curious. Hey, I heard you say no. Can you tell me about that? And they say, well, yeah, that is not the car I want to buy, or that is not the way I want to do business, or that's not the, if you're talking to a vendor, we don't do it that way. Okay. Can you tell me more about, and you're just listening. And then all of a sudden you say, they don't know, and I need to educate. Or you say, wow, I didn't know this objection. I'm not ready to even respond to it. So now I'm going to need to do something else. So that KNOW is as important as anything else, because so many times, again, people might talk themselves into it. Number two, you might know it's an absolute no, but so many times it's just an education. I've seen, military. I had a strong woman in one of my negotiation classes. And she said, well, I can't get a promotion. And I said, that's crazy. You're smart. What's going on? She said, I don't know. And I said, well, why don't you ask? And so the next time she went and talked to her boss, she said, I have an assignment. I have to talk to you. And the boss said, well, no, you can't have a promotion. And she just stopped and she said, I've heard you say no. Can you tell me about that? And he said, you don't have the right criteria. You don't have the right expertise, the right training. And she said, what would that training be? And when the boss explained to her what that training was, she said, that's basic. I have this advanced training that I got from the military. We call it something else. We call it something else. And you think about, you know, whether it's a car deal, whether it's a land purchase, whether it's dealing with a community, we all have our jargon, our lingo, or whatever we grew up with, whatever that language is. And often if you'll say, can you tell me more? I heard you say this. Can you walk me through it? All of a sudden you say, we're saying the same things. I'm calling it this. You're calling it that.
One of my favorite things in any interaction with a consumer or with a business to business relationship, the words, no problem.
Love it.
I'm not buying any of that, no problem.
Not a problem.
And it's
No
because
problem.
they're looking for the confrontation.
Right. And if you feel really strongly about what you're talking about or selling or, you know, buying, whatever it isn't a problem. It isn't a problem.
No.
Oh, I get it.
Okay.
That's fine. And you're right. Some people are looking to rumble and they're looking for you to rumble back.
So
And if you're not,
we're turning negotiations into conversations.
absolutely, you have to. You have to have a conversation if you want it to stick. Now, see, this power-based, you know, tactics, I plan on being in business a long time. Agreed? You plan on continuing to business a long time. That's why you've done everything you've done. Well, if you're just looking at these little tiny transactions, then you can be a jerk. I can't afford to be a jerk. I need to have those professional relationships for the rest of my life. I want people's kids to think about me. I want my neighbors, you know, they're my friends' neighbors.
Gosh, yes. I'm into legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into legacy. I'm already 20 years after I'm gone. You
Right.
know, what are people going to think of me? What are they going to say about me? You know, I mean, think about. So when you're negotiating with someone, you know, everything in life is a negotiation. If they feel they didn't win, it reflects on you and how you're talked about, thought about, and remembered.
Exactly. And that said, it could be I've told them no. We've already survived a no. But let's say, you know, I know you have employee bosses that get in on this together. And let's say an employee asks me a question. I say, no, we can't do that right now. I understand you want to do this, but we can't do it right now. What's so interesting is the employee says, oh, I heard your reason. You listened to me. So you can even take a no as long as you know someone respects you and is listening to you. Sometimes when you tell people no and you tell them, you know, we can't do it that way. It's not ethical. It's not legal. It would ruin us business wise. And they go somewhere else. Those are sometimes your best clients, your best vendors, your best whoever it is, because they come back to you and you've got them for life.
You do. And my gosh, you know, in the automobile industry, what more negotiation in so many levels? You're negotiating on the car, the finance, the accessories. I mean, you know, this is small level negotiation. And when I sold radio advertising, I was in business to business negotiations.
Right.
And, you know, everything's negotiation. Meeting my wife was a negotiation.
Sure. Oh, sure. Sure. Well,
she got a bad deal.
Stop that. Oh, please. I've met your wife. She's happy. I think she's happy. I think you try really hard to make her happy. That's part of his secret. No, you know this background. A lot of people don't. I answered the phones for a car dealership. I worked for Gene Messer Ford in Lubbock, Texas when I was in college.
See, I know that dealership.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a famous, I mean, Gene Messer in West Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you work for Gene Messer Ford. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I noticed, even at that early age, were those sales professionals, the fleet sales people that, you know, the people that sold lots and lots of cars or multiple cars to multiple friends and relations. What they were doing is a long-term fit. So there were nickel and diming. There were some of that, but most of them that wanted a long-term fit would say, you don't need this. Let's do this instead. Let's get this extended warranty, a service plan. You come back and see us. so that they could over and over again build those relationships. Have you ever heard the name, and it's not Wendy's founder, but David Thomas?
I don't know. No.
Yeah, Sewell Lexus. You've probably heard of Sewell. He was Sewell's. Sewell is a big dealership in Dallas, Fort Worth, right? He was Sewell's #1 salesperson, and he went on and he did a Subaru dealership, and then he does Premier Autos. Well, David has people that have called them for friends of friends of friends, and they'll say, I know David. He will be fair with you. He'll be honest. He'll give you someone to really research. And I teased him because he did that. You've done that new puppy. Have you ever heard that puppy technique where it's a negotiation?
Yes, I've been around the block.
Home.
Yes.
Yeah, just take the puppy home. See if the puppy fits in with the family, right? You got a new puppy, correct?
Oh, the puppy dog delivery. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had a friend. Yeah. So David said, well, your parents can drive this Lexus to San Antonio from Dallas, 5 hours. And I said, David, we know about new puppy technique. We know about, drive it, like it, see if you don't. Like it. And he said, yeah, right. He said, no, Linda, I'm serious. You can always bring it back. Here's the thing. We have lots of puppies. So I'm not worried about this puppy. We have lots. So
there
if this one doesn't
lots
work,
of them. Absolutely.
Isn't that smart? So smart.
Get what you want. Now, see, back when I was a fledgling speaker, and I've been in the car business 47 years, and I taught Carnegie back in the early days. I was an apprentice. I was a DJ. I've had a number of careers prior to the car business, and 47. I got in the car business in 1976. Walked in the car dealership and said, I'd like to be a car salesman. I set records in the industry. That's how I became nationally known. When I was a fledgling speaker, I used to read books by Robert Ringer. Are you familiar with Robert Ringer?
I've heard the name.
Okay, Robert
right through NSA.
The first book he wrote was Winning Through Intimidation.
Oh, wow.
And the second book he wrote was Looking Out for Number One. And the third book he wrote was How to Survive the Fall of Western Civilization.
What?
Now, these books were in the 70s and 80s.
I would never be able to do that topic. None of the three.
Well, Winning Through Intimidation was more about setting up a negotiation.
Yeah,
it's a book that you would love. I mean, he was a real estate guy.
Right.
And what he would do is and he was selling big commercial properties like shopping malls. And what he would do is the buyer would show up with their attorney, the seller would show up with their attorney, and the real estate agent generally got the shaft. They would cut out their commissions.
Sure.
So he would always bring his attorney to the closing.
To kind of even out the power balance.
Yeah, so that
and nobody else had done it that way. No, I love it.
What Winning Through Intimidation was all about.
I tell you what, through the years, I have gone to courses like that. I have taken training. I can't pull it off. And I knew attorneys when I practiced that they were the intimidators. I look like the girl next door. And so I've never been able to
always. Well, I met you, how long? 20 years ago,
20
I met
plus,
you at the 25 years ago, I met you at the National Speakers Association.
And I don't look intimidating.
No.
So if you don't look intimidating and you're not the bear, I'm here to negotiate, what do you tell yourself? Because I get this question a lot. Well, I'm too nice or whatever,
Yeah.
So on my book, it says get what you really want, not what you're given. So how do you do that? If you're not that intimidator?
Well, see, you look like the girl next door, but I know you're a piranha.
Well, I like to win. And when I'm negotiating on behalf of other people, I kind of had a duty, right, to make sure they got the best deal. But that doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. And I think that's what people forget. No. Yeah, that's what people forget. Because here's the thing. Have you been bullied ever in your life? Most of us have. A teacher, a student, a jerk, right?
Yeah.
Or you worked with a jerk or a boss or somebody.
Yeah.
did that make you want to deal with them more? Most of us would say, no, I wanted to avoid them. So what happens when you're not dealing politely with somebody that's kind to you? What happens is you're looking for any way possible to break that deal or get even. So my negotiation style has always had to be, because I can't pull it off, is always had to be, you can trust me. I'm telling you the truth. You may not like it, but I'm going to tell you the truth.
Know me, like me, trust me.
Right. And I want a durable agreement. I want an agreement so strong that when you're questioned about it by people that, would be opposed to it, whoever I've negotiated with, will support it. You'll fight for our agreement. And that's a durable agreement. And if you're working with somebody in collaboration, you help build it together, even if I had to tell you no, or you had to tell me no, as long as we try to make things fit, and as long as I listen to you, we have a far more likely chance of not just intimidating somebody for that moment, but of having a long conversation.
Okay, now that's the ether of the negotiation. What about the
right.
mechanics of the negotiation? What do you do first, second, third?
Okay.
You're coming into the mechanics of it. We've talked about the philosophy. We've talked about the ether. Let's talk about what do you do? Step one, step two, step
prep
three.
And do you want to talk about prepping, or do you want to talk about the actual? I think the secret's all in the prep. The
how
secret
you set
is,
it up.
Yeah, and it's, what is it that I want, right? What at the end of this, so that I know I can quit. I won. I got what I needed. So what is it I want? And then the very next thing is the why. And it's not why, it's what are the good business reasons behind my what. And so then if I've got those two really clear, then I can play with the rest. I can say, okay, now let's
got to know why.
You've got to know your reason, your good business reason. But the very first thing is what would it look like?
What do you want to achieve as an outcome of the negotiation?
Exactly. And you have to write it down. That's the secret. Most people don't take the time to say, how do I close 5 deals, close 5 cars? There's
21-year-old Jim Ziegler going with the captain of the entire Navy base in a negotiation. And I had to have demands of satisfaction. Every grievance has, what are your demands of satisfaction? So that's exactly what we're talking about.
And your very first thing that you said was, how do your 21-year-old Jim brain was going on, how do I not have to go through all these steps that are going to delay, make other people mad, I'm going to be told no. How do I get to the top? So how do I get to someone who could say yes or no, right? So after that, why? Because it's going to be delayed. People are going to be upset. The justice won't be done, whatever it is. I want to make sure that I get to the person. So those are your good business reasons. Now, here's what most people don't do. We know our side. We know why we want this. I know. We forget to turn it to them. So what does the captain of the base want? The captain of the base wants for people to be treated fairly, right? So that he or she is not called under question later. So you've got to think, what does that person want? And what are the good business reasons that they would want whatever it is? And people forget to do that. They're all about themselves. You and I are both. I was a radio DJ too. WWI, WIIFM, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? It's on broadcast everywhere, right? The thing is, if they'll just turn the radio dial to WIIFT, what's in it for them, for the other side? Just think about it. If you just think about it, you're already steps ahead of most people negotiating. And I think that's what it is. We either just care about ourselves a lot of times, or we're so nervous we haven't been practicing, right? Or B, we think we know what they want.
I think the best of us have always done that instinctively.
Right.
I mean, right. I set records in my industry, and you didn't tell me something just now that I don't know, but you told me something that most people don't know.
Most people don't know. And I'll give you one more on that. 1/3 of the people, I did the statistics, I did a little over, about almost 1,200 people. We did some research for that book.
I'm not very good with analytics,
Yeah, well, but
the first 4 letters of analytics are.
What? Anal. You're so funny. Well,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you this, a third of the people said, I won't say yes to anybody if they're not polite or considerate. So, I mean, manners matter. So when you're going into, you said, how do I prep? Well, you prep with, what do I want? Why? What are the good business reasons? What do they want? Why? What are their good business reasons? And then here's the question. Is it worth it? Really? Is this worth me giving my effort, my time, my energy? Because if your what and your why aren't big enough, you don't want to go after it. Why do it?
That goes back to Dale Carnegie in the 30s, for heaven's
Oh,
sake.
sure.
People will not do business with you because they like you, but they will certainly not do business with you if they dislike you.
If they dislike you.
Yes.
If they dislike you. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that oh gosh, I so often get this, and with all the digital sales we've got going on now, you've got a lot of people are great with data. It's not just the financial people. It's not just that. It's people who are good with data. One of the things they often say is, so how do I choose, what's a necessity and what's just a want? Well, you make up your list. These are all the things I want. These are all the things this person might want. And then you go through your list and you say, okay, what are the 3 to 5 I must have out of this?
Okay, so now we're still in the mechanics of negotiation.
That's the mechanics.
What do I want to get out of this?
What? Yes.
What do I want to get as a result?
What are the options here? So everything else you're looking for your essentials. What do I want?
And this is not just money we're negotiating on either.
Oh, no. I mean, it might be a long-term deal. It might be, I know people that did favors, cars and otherwise, did favors because they liked the person. Sometimes you want to really help somebody out. And if you really like them, often they come back and they help you out. I got asked to do something a few years ago and past client, I love her. And she said, Linda, I don't have the budget. We desperately need you. I don't have the budget. And I said, what day, what time, what do you need? Why? Why did I do that? Because I like her. Because we have a long-standing, I trust what she's saying. She's not trying to stab me in the back. Yeah. And most people want to do business with you if you're a nice person. Most. Now there's some jerks, whatever. You're just looking for a fit.
People blow out of churches. Sure. Yes. Remember the Pay It Forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it was a chick flick. I mean, come on.
Oh, stop it. Yeah.
Kill a kid died, my wife cried.
Kill a kid is a chick flick? No.
Kid died, my wife cried.
It's terrible. It's a sad ending. But a good ending. But yeah.
Yeah. But little Haley Joe Osment, went back when he was cute.
Oh,
yeah. But you remember the whole premise of the movie was do things for other people with no expectation of reward. And I fully subscribe to that.
You've always done that.
All humor aside. Don't
no, I've always seen you do it. You've always done that.
Yeah. Don't send me nasty emails. I'm just kidding.
Well, and why not? Because I'm planning on being here for a while longer. And I plan on, and people have done so many nice things for me. Why wouldn't you pay it forward? Right. That said, you're also not a doormat. So if somebody here is hearing, oh, well, I always give, you have to get as well. So we had a friend, you and I did, Joe Charbonneau, who used to say, you've got to give before you get. And there are some people that will be watching this that forget to get. And it's okay for you to make a living.
I haven't thought about Joe in a while.
He was a mentor of mine. Yeah. What a great guy. He was a mentor of mine. And he's one of those that when I pick up the phone or I talk to somebody about, consulting or speaking or writing a book, I think, how many meetings did Joe give you for free? And he was a genius, and so, but you do, there are some people that will be listening to this that aren't asking for the sale. They're not closing the deal. They don't believe that they really should get what they want. And that's not right either. You have to practice asking for what you want, because here's the thing, Jim, people want to do business with people who know what they're going after, and I want to help you. Just tell me what it is that would help you. So many times we kind of bury our light, whether it's getting more deals or buying more things, whatever it is. And that's not fair either, because
I've got a
people want to know
theory.
exactly what you want.
I have a theory now. I want to hear your theory on it before I want. Who goes first in a negotiation? Should they hear your, if it's about the numbers, should they hear your number or should you hear their number first?
Well, there's two schools of thought. One
And now
says
I've
you
got
never make
one.
the first offer, because if you make the first offer, you're putting a stake in the ground. And then, from there on out, you have ruined it, because they might have given you more or taken less or whatever. Baloney. If you know what you really want, first off, you know what you want. You know the good reasons why, right? These are the good business reasons I'm going after this. And you've done your homework.
Mhm.
Who cares who makes the first offer? Do you throw everything away? No, you say, I'm thinking in a range, or I was thinking about this. And somebody goes, oh, no. You say, well, what do you think? So it's just a conversation. But if you know what is reasonable and you ask for a little bit more, or ask to take a little bit less, whatever it is, as long as you've done your homework and you're pretty truthful and honest, nobody is going to give you the outrageous, crazy deal. Nobody, for a long time. They might give it to you once, find out you way undersold or way overcharged, whatever it is, and that's it. You've lost your trust. So part of that conversation is, do I know what I really want? Yes. And then am I listening? Am I open? So sometimes I've even said, I have a figure in mind. I have some ideas. I've already got those down. Before we talk about that, can I even see if there's a fit? And then I start questioning. Or if they say, well, what's your range? Well, it's from $5 to $10. Depends on what you want. Let's talk about what that is and see if we can fit it in there. So whatever that number is, it's not a magic number. Give a range, give a little higher, give a little lower, wherever you need to go, have a little give in there. But never, and I never do. Well, my bottom line is this. Well, that puts them in a really bad situation. How can they negotiate with you?
Oh, we get that in my industry all the time.
All the time.
I mean, they walk in. This is what I'll take. I'm not taking anything else. I'm going to go to 3 other places. Okay, well, so I've got nowhere to move. No matter what I do, I lose. Okay, you just set it up for everybody loses.
No, and if you've done your research, I'll pay a little bit more if I trust you. I will, take a little bit less if I trust you, if I know that you're going to be around, because that's what's worth it to me, is that you're going to be around for a long time. I think, especially in the automotive industry, they don't consider, what they don't consider all the stakeholders. So many times they talk to one person, as opposed to, you've brought your teen in to look at a car. You got to talk to the teen. You can't just talk to the parents, but you can't just leave the parents out either, right?
Oh, no.
Or in my case, I went to buy a minivan. It was about, 15, 20 years ago. And I had little kids, and it had to also look professional because I was still talking to CEOs. And the guy would not take his attention off of my husband. And finally, my husband looked at him and he said, stop talking to me. I'm not driving it. I don't care. It's her money, her purchase. Talk to her. And even that clear, here's the buyer, here's the one that's making the decision, I'll do whatever she wants, still could not get that in his brain. I mean, just could not. He lost a sale because he couldn't talk to the stakeholders, the shareholders. And that's so often, boy, in the automotive industry, you got to pay attention to who is in the room. It might be grandma funding it. You don't know who is going to pay it. And it could be a huge, huge deal. They're in there talking to find out about one car, but they have a fleet of cars they need to buy. They have multiple purchases. They have several children. They have lots of friends. Never, never underestimate who's in front of you. Never do it.
Well, do people have different negotiating styles? I mean, do they?
There's very different styles. And what's interesting
me
is,
about that.
all of us have taken those personality assessments, and you're blue and I'm red and you're a dolphin and I'm a tiger, whatever it is, right? So if you have taken those communication assessments, go ahead and pull them out and say, what does that mean in a negotiation? And know that nobody is going to just do their style. They just don't. They may have a preference. So maybe I'm data driven. I have a way to remember it is deal. Let's see if I've got I've got a cheat. We'll see if I got it.
Oh, you
Yes,
got your
I
cheat.
do. You
Okay,
ready?
what have you got? Oh boy,
So here we go.
I
don't
know
even
what
know if you know
speaker
this.
that is.
So here we go. Deal, D. People like to decide. Those are your decision makers. Get to the point. Stop talking things. What's going to get things done? E, that's you. People who like to engage. They want to talk about people. You've got to include them. The diamond ring, they like to engage with you, all right? A, we all know them. These are the accommodating people. They want everybody to be a fit. That's the dad that comes in, the grandpa, the mom that comes in and says, well, what do you think, dear? What do you think?
Amiable, affable.
They're very affable, yes, but they're accommodating everybody. And then don't forget this one. This leverage, they always get called something silly, oh, they're conscientious, or oh, they're detail oriented. No. Leverage, they can manage many things well. They're going to leverage their information. These are the people who are going to do all the background on what it is that they're purchasing. And so many times you may be one of these, but you're dealing with someone like this. And what I often hear is somebody says, well, that's not my style, so I don't have to do that. No. In a deal, you have to do all of them. You have to make decisions. You have to engage, right? You have to accommodate. And oh yeah, you've got to leverage what you know and what
do you have to be a chameleon?
You have to. I'm sorry. Oh, it's so hard. So hard. And if you want to make it in the automotive industry.
Yeah. With other industries, real estate, I mean, negotiation is more prevalent in, automobiles have a limited amount of markup. Let's look at furniture and jewelry that are marked up 1,000%.
Services. Well, but automotive, you don't make your money on the car. Where do you make your money?
Finance and service.
And yeah, the long-term outstanding relationship you have with service, right? And anything you can do to get people to come back forever.
There are salespeople today selling 200 and 150 units a month.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when I was a salesperson back in the dark ages, I was selling 30 units a month on occasion, and
making a living.
That was an incredible number. That was unheard of number. People, right. I was setting records at those numbers. Right. Now today, with technology assist, these guys are selling 150, 200 units. These men and women.
Well, sure. And the leasing aspect of it wasn't nearly as big as it is now.
No.
So you have people that are out there that want a long-term relationship with you. And you've got to remember all of those 4 elements. Always. You're always making decisions. Stop feeling like you need to say no, or you need to always say yes. You've got to start asking questions. I think that's what we forget to do is live in the question. Oh, wait, I got another visual. Look at this.
Uh-oh.
Ready?
What do we got? Uh-oh.
Ask outrageously.
So that's one of your books.
Yeah. Well, what does that mean though? That means asking a little bit outside your comfort zone. So not asking obnoxiously, not being a jerk, right? But, would you take a little bit less? Would you take a little bit more? Would you consider doing this? How have you thought about this? Ask for a little bit more and start doing it all the time, not just when you're in a automotive industry mindset. No, at the store, will you take this coupon a day early? What? Cannot,
see, people don't negotiate.
Not in there every day.
Yeah, they think about automobiles, and that's the industry I'm in, but I negotiate with hotels. I negotiate on jewelry. I negotiate on virtually everything that I buy.
It's a practice.
I go to a hotel, and I've stayed in a lot of hotels. I got what, 5 million miles with Delta.
Crazy.
You know, so I've been in a lot of hotels. I
Right.
always ask, what's your best rate? What's your government rate?
Right.
Will you give me the government rate? Are you with the government? No, but I want your government rate.
Well, so I will up that because I'm going to do that with manners. So in addition to that, I know you've got great manners, but as a front desk clerk, and I was one, that's where I met my husband. He was a bellman. I was a front desk clerk. I later went on and did hotel sales. If people were nice to me, not yelling at me.
Always nice. Have you ever
Oh,
known me
no.
not to be nice?
You have always been nice. Most
Yeah. people
that are delayed or unhappy are not nice to the front desk clerk. They will take it out on this poor person that's making less than, maybe making minimum wage, who's been standing on their feet all day. And if you're nice and you just polite and talk to them like a regular human being,
Oh, yeah.
you'll be shocked at what people say. So my question is always, hey, am I going to like this room? Is this, would you stay here? Is that a good room?
Mhm.
And they'll say, you know what? Let me look and see what we've got.
I've done that many times. And
Right. And they're fine because you're
Excuse me.
talking to them. You're asking
Yeah.
for their advice, their opinion. People want to feel useful, right? And they don't want to feel, we've all had bad jobs.
I've walked up to the desk at Delta Airlines and said, "Oh, look at you." And she says, or he says, "What?" I said, "You've got upgrade written all over your face."
See, you're funny. You're funny. And that helps.
Yeah.
That helps. And I've always said, I've always been empathetic because I know what it's like to be yelled at. You do too, Jim. And if you can say, wow, this is a tough crowd here, all these people yelling at you with the storm or the delay. It's funny how people will help you. I got upgraded on a trip back from Europe when I was 19. And the way I did it was I said, wow, that snowstorm, that's terrible. How are you dealing with that? I was front desk clerk, and always compare notes. And at the end of it, she said, come back tomorrow. And when I came back tomorrow, I had a first class ticket because I was polite. Don't outweigh that. You can be you got to prepare so you can stay in the moment, but being polite and asking people questions. And the
Ask
magic
questions, be polite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, that's always been my MO. I mean, it wasn't any formal training. It just instinctively, that's the way you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people can pull it off being a jerk. I, again, can't do it. I can give you 2 magic questions if you want.
Magic.
No matter what tactic you get, I want you to think of Superwoman or a Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, she has her bracelets. Yeah. Here's your 2 questions. What and how? That's it.
No, come
You
on, look
can
at magic.
answer-
That's not magic.
You can answer any question you're asked, any situation you're in with a what or a how. So I know a lot of your listeners are supervisors or leaders or owners. You have somebody, especially in the automotive industry, especially with salespeople, especially with people who do high tech, you have someone who is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You always do. There's always an employee. Your saving grace is going to be able to be questioning and negotiating with them. So let's say that Jim is not showing up on time, which would never happen. But let's say he's not showing up on time, not doing his job.
Oh, no.
I'm going to go up and I'm going to say, Jim, what's going on? Why aren't you showing up on time when you're supposed to? And Jim, you've heard all those excuses. What are those excuses that people give?
Traffic. It was traffic.
Traffic.
Yeah, my alarm didn't go off. Yeah,
I don't have a good car, even though I work at a car dealership.
Had to get the kids to school when they were
Right.
Yeah.
So the worst thing I can do right now is what? Solve the problem for Jim. Well, Jim, have you thought about taking your kids to school earlier? Have you thought about doing this with the traffic? Have you thought about, because then whose problem is it?
Oh, I took
It's my problem
away from you. It's made it mine.
I took that monkey off of your back.
I
right?
made it mine. Oh, no.
Yeah, no. So instead, as a leader, what you say is, wow, traffic, wow, kids, wow, car trouble, even though you work in where there's free service. Wow. How are you going to address that and still show up on time tomorrow? What are you going to do to make sure that that gets taken care of, that big issue? What are you going to do so that you can still come here on time? And you put that monkey right back where? On that employee.
You and I have covered so much. And we are so far over time. It's unbelievable.
Oh,
But
no.
I could continue on. How do people get in touch with you? What do they?
Well, they've got two things. I'm going to give your listeners, because you're you, I'll give you some bonus resources.
Oh,
And one is those deal styles and how well do you ask? So everybody pull out your phone, your cell phone. And if you're driving, pull over before you do this. You ready? Okay. So in the texting, put 42828. So instead of 2 Jim or 2 Linda, you're going to put 42828. Then in the message, just put ASK, like you're asking a question.
Okay.
ASK.
42828.
Hit send. ASK. And your message, hit send. It will ask you for your email. Put in your email and it'll give you some links to some of these assessments we're talking about.
Oh, you're going to give it to them? This is what you sell.
Like you.
This is okay.
It's what I give my clients. And I have a long term.
The text code again is
42828.
428.
And then the message line, 42828, and then ASK. Hit send. Yeah. And if you're listening out of, I know some of you are out of the States because Jim's got a big reach. You can go to negotiate.today and fill that in.
You own that?
Everything else. Yeah. Did you know that?
Yeah. And your website is?
LindaSwindling.com.
Oh my God.
LindaSwindling.com. Can you
One
imagine
of my
how many
favorite people in the world? You and I you're one of the hardest working speakers in the National Speakers Association. I've known you for a quarter of a century. Although,
can you believe it?
When I met her, she was a baby. I have underwear older than her. But anyway,
well, you've always been one of my favorite people. You walk the talk. You really do mentor people, and you are always so approachable. And this association we're talking about, they've got, some of them are very approachable and some of them are not. And Jim's one of the leaders.
If you can't help other people, what can you do?
What fun is it?
You reach down, pull somebody else up. Personally, and this is you and this is me, I have no envy. I would hope you achieve more than me. And I will help you achieve more than me.
Sure.
I'm not the most. I'm somewhere on the ladder. Everybody's somewhere on the ladder. I'll help pull you up. So there's people up there and people down there, just.
Yeah. And the dealers that you've got in your network, my gosh, you all do so much for the communities. You do so much for all of us. Yeah. So Jim, thanks so much for having me. You all remember to ask outrageously.
Ask outrageously, lindaswindling.com, SWINDLING, lindaswindling.com. That name wouldn't work in the car business.
It was hard in the law business.
Oh, swindling. Do we cheat them in hell? No.
Swindle them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, thanks so much.
Okay, I'm going to